Hello. I've just come to show you very quickly, well, it is going to be a very quick video, how you can make the kind of manila style file folders. This is an original one, and these are the ones I have made. One thing that it was, all the videos I've seen that use these manila file folders, they're always turned into something else. So I'm not 100% sure, unless you're using it as a file folder. I don't know if you can see, it's even got the little ridges here. Unless you're using it as a file folder, maybe there's actually no need to make a file folder. You could just use the ivory cardstock that I'm going to use to make these. But I think these are quite handy to store digital kits and things like that. So, and especially if you do paperwork and whatever, you've got the little tabs at the top here. So I will show you how I made it. And you will need an A3 sheet of ivory cardstock. And that's pretty much it. I have made a very simple one, so you've still got the little ridges there if that's what you want to do. It's literally just folded in half with about 1 centimetre left, clip the corners with a corner rounder, and then I've just scored 3 lines. Very easy, but we'll do a full file folder. So the first thing I am going to do is this. I'm scoring this at just the 1 over the 20 centimetres. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm just going to score my A3 sheet at 8 inches. And that's our file folder, and it gives us about 1 centimetre or so at the top there. I'm just going to burnish that down. And then along the front, I'm just going to put it back in the scoreboard, and I'm just going to, from my crease, I'm just going to score every 2 notches. So what's that, 1/4 of an inch? So every 1/4 of an inch. Oh, my thumbnail was in the way. Every 1/4 of an inch, I'm just going to put a score line in. So that would make a perfectly kind of suitable file folder. You could just clip your corners and you're done. Now, in my Facebook group, I'm going to add my template, and all I've done is, I mean, it's not a perfect cut. It's not a perfect cut, but it's just a rough guide. I've just printed out my template, glued it onto some cardstock. So I've got these 2 pieces. So I'm going to continue to use my scoreboard. Where's my pencil gone? Oh, here it is. So I'm just lining it up, lining the template up into the scoreboard, and this is the back piece with the single flap. I'm going to turn it over and use the back piece. Just get that piece out of the way. So it's lined up. Now, what I'm not going to do is bother about rounding the corners, even though I did include that in the template, just in case you don't have a corner rounder. Missed that. Just draw around the template. Now, can you see here, it's actually quite easy to kind of tear this cardstock if you're using a large pair of scissors. So I'm going for a small pair, and literally just cutting out those pieces that I have just drawn. I mean, you could also use the template on some of the cheaper file folders, which is probably better in a way because they're a little bit thinner. This is I think this is 300 GSM cardstock, so these are quite hefty. And as you can see, the cardstock does slightly bend, so it's difficult to get it perfect, but it's good enough for me. And just cut this one out. Just the corners. I'm going to come in with the big scissors in a minute. just to get that corner. It's easier with the small scissors. I'll take the big ones. I mean, I was looking for these online, and in the UK, the only place to get them that I found was Amazon US, and they were I think I was looking at about £30 for 20, I think, something along those lines. And I just think, you know, everybody can get A4 ivory cardstock, and if you really want it to actually be a file folder, these are just so simple. Just a bit of cutting out. I missed that corner, just going over that again. Okay, so I've got my corner punch. I'm going to punch out those corners. I mean, and if these had been kind of stored, they're going to get a bit bashed about anyway, so I'm not worried about these the little folds and creases that you might get. But there you go. You have a file folder. Not perfect, but let me just grab my ink. I found a round one, which is not quite as in desperately poor condition as my square one. So if you can't get your manila file folders, just grab yourself a pack of ivory A3 cardstock, and you know, you can create something very similar. And you know, that's just the inking around there. I quite like it, but it is even easier to just make one with the rounded edge. So there you go. The template will be in my Facebook group. All right, I will see you soon. Thanks.